Look at the modern world right now, and you'll immediately sense this collective exhaustion. I mean, we're constantly connected, we're endlessly grinding, answering emails at midnight, and treating our overflowing inboxes like some kind of badge of honor. It's a relentless hustle culture, and honestly, it leaves us totally burnt out and chronically fatigued. But what if there was another way? Today, we're diving into a fascinating new explainer that maps out a completely alternative way of living.
So, what exactly is the antidote to modern burnout? I really want you to ask yourself that. Just imagine a hypothetical, completely serene society, built from the ground up on the shared DNA of two of the world's most distinct, yet surprisingly compatible cultures, Scandinavia and Japan. Now, obviously, they're separated by vast oceans, but these regions actually share a profound, deep-seated reverence for simplicity, functional beauty, and the natural world.
As our source material beautifully puts it, we find ourselves adrift in a sea of performative busyness, searching for what might be called a quiet utopia. Okay, let's dive into this. Because this whole concept, it's about so much more than just a passing design trend. It's really about reclaiming our humanity, our time, and our mental space by adopting the absolute best elements of a Nordic-Japanese hybrid culture.
Section 1. The Foundation. The Japandi Home. All right, let's just take a deep breath, slow down for a second. We're going to start where every single day starts and ends, the domestic sphere. The absolute foundation of this quiet utopia is the home itself. And to understand this hybrid home, we first have to look at the Nordic thesis of hike. Hike is basically all about cultivating a profoundly cozy, warm atmosphere. Just picture yourself wrapped up in a chunky wool knit blanket. You've got the soft glow of candlelight hitting pale, natural wood floors, and all the while those harsh winter storms outside are kept entirely at bay. It's a true sanctuary of cozy, guilt-free contentment.
But if we only relied on hige, a space might risk feeling, a bit too unstructured. So we immediately introduce the Japanese antithesis, wabi-sabi. Wabi-sabi is this brilliant teaching that finds profound beauty in natural imperfection, raw textures, and the graceful aging of objects. It takes all that cozy warmth we just talked about and injects it with a really deep, mindful intentionality. And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate synthesis, Japandi. In this hybrid space, Marie Kondo's extreme, joyful intentionality perfectly meets IKEA's warm, accessible practicality. I mean, in a Japandi home, clutter is practically illegal, yet the space never ever feels clinically sterile. Every single object, whether it's a mended ceramic mug or a perfectly placed lamp, literally earns its place by either providing serious utility or radiating quiet joy. When you walk into one of these homes, your senses are immediately calmed. The visual palette is deeply rooted in earthy tones. Think warm woods, deep charcoals, and soft creams. You'll find this low-profile Japanese furniture, which really grounds you to the floor, seamlessly combined with the organic, sculptural curves of Danish modernism. It's a strict, uncompromising adherence to quality over quantity. This functional minimalism perfectly resolves the strict, sometimes darker nature of traditional Japanese design with the bright, cozy warmth of the Nordics.
Section 2. The Engine. The 6-Hour Mastery.
So, now that our home is a sanctuary, we've got to move into the professional sphere. How does a quiet utopia actually handle the daily grind? Well, here we have to resolve the ultimate clash between two vastly different work cultures. On one side, you've got the Nordic model, flat hierarchies, short 37-hour work weeks, and this cultural norm of just leaving the office at 3 p.m. to pick up your kids. Then, on the other side, you have the Japanese model, strict seniority, total dedication to the company, and the tragic reality of karoshi, which incredibly literally translates to death by overwork. On paper, these seem entirely incompatible, right? Now, what's really interesting here is the hybrid fix. What if you took the Japanese principle of kaizen, that continuous, disciplined improvement and craftsman pride, and applied it to the short Nordic hours? You get a hyper-efficient 6-hour workday. There is absolutely zero performative busyness. No pointless meetings, no chatting at the water cooler, just intense, laser-focused, deeply respectful work, which entirely eliminates the toxic burnout of modern office life. Let's actually walk through a day in the life of this utopia. At 7 a.m., you're cycling on heated bike lanes to a communal Sento sauna for a morning purification. By 9 a.m., you dive into your deep silent work. At 3 p.m. exactly, the workday ends. And get this, your boss actually bows deeply to thank you for your focused effort. Then by 6 p.m., you're enjoying a quiet hig dinner with your community using foraged ingredients.
Work and restorative rest just blend together flawlessly. Section 3, the recharge, wellness, nature, and food. That restorative rest brings us directly to the sensory practices that power this quiet utopia and really fuels its remarkable longevity. Let's look at how this culture actually recharges. The synergies here are absolutely incredible. Take bathing, for example. The intense heat and cold plunges of the Nordic sauna merge right into the meditative hot springs of the Japanese onsen. It becomes this mandatory, almost spiritual public ritual. Just imagine cycling in sub-zero temperatures just to sit in a steaming geothermal bathhouse completely surrounded by snow. And outdoors, the Nordic friluftsliv, which is open-air living in all weather, pairs perfectly with the Japanese shinrin-yoku, or forest bathing. In this world, nature is treated as a vital organ of public health, for sure, not just some weekend hobby. So, the crucial point is that this deep reverence for nature extends directly to the plate. The fusion diet here is hyper-local and entirely zero waste. It relies heavily on cold water fish and the absolute magic of fermentation. Basically, Nordic pickling meets Japanese miso and natto. Imagine eating thick slices of rye sourdough spread with rich miso butter. And then for dessert, tart Nordic cloudberries paired with the earthy bitterness of ceremonial matcha. It is literally a diet specifically designed to maximize human health and longevity. Section 4. The catch, the social paradox. But, okay, to keep this explainer grounded in reality, we have to acknowledge that no utopia is perfect. There are definitely friction points when you combine these two very different worlds. There's a shadow side to this serene existence, and the starkest clash is definitely in how people communicate. Nordic cultures are famously blunt and direct. They value silence and straightforwardness as pure, unfiltered honesty. Japanese culture, conversely, relies heavily on tatame, which are polite facades and indirect communication used to protect the harmony of the group. A direct no is often just avoided entirely. The resulting hybrid communication style? Well, it's quite something. The sources describe a society of brutally honest people who deliver bad news with the most exquisite, poetic courtesy. Just imagine sitting down with your manager and they look at you and say, with the deepest respect, your proposal is entirely insufficient, all while serving you a perfectly brewed cup of tea and bowing deeply. It's terrifyingly polite, but hey, you are never left guessing where you stand. Ultimately, this creates what we can really call an introverted utopia of intense conformity. You take the Nordic jaunty law, which strongly discourages individual boasting, and you combine it with the Japanese proverb that the nail that sticks up gets hammered down. What you get is a society with zero crime, spotless streets, and immense social trust. But the rules are so dense, and the expectation not to burden others is so incredibly high that making a new friend could literally take years. It's a society where people are happy, they're healthy, and they are completely alone together. Section 5. The resolution. Your own quiet revolution. Let's move forward and see how this builds into actionable takeaways for us today. The beauty of this is, you don't need a plane ticket to Scandinavia or Japan to start experiencing the benefits of this quiet utopia. You can start pulling these elements into your own life right now. I mean, could you apply a Kaizen focus to your work, cutting out that performative busyness? You can actually log off at a reasonable hour. Or maybe you could curate your living space with extreme intentionality, bringing a little hige downtime into a Japandi-inspired room. I'll leave you with that provocative thought. What is the very first step you will take to cure your own exhaustion and start your very own quiet revolution?